John and Linda had spent their entire lives working hard, dreaming of the day they could finally retire to a peaceful home away from the chaos of city life. John, a retired veteran with a deep love for the countryside, always pictured himself sitting on a quiet porch, sipping coffee, and watching the sun rise over rolling green hills. Linda, having survived a brutal battle with cancer a few years prior, longed for a place where she could finally breathe easy, surrounded by fresh air and tranquility. When they stumbled upon a beautiful home on the edge of a small town, it felt like fate. The property was perfect, 2 acres of land, a sturdy old farmhouse that needed a little love, and most importantly, no HOA. The previous owners assured them they had never been part of any homeowners association. The realtor double-checked the records. Everything was clear. For John, it was a dream come true, a place where no one could tell him how to live, what color to paint his house, or whether he could have a flagpole in his front yard. The couple put every last bit of their savings into the home, confident this would be their forever place. But in life, dreams and nightmares often come hand in hand. Just weeks after moving in, as they unpacked the last of their boxes and began settling into their peaceful new life, a letter arrived in their mailbox. It was crisp, official-looking, and bore the words Homeowners Association Notification in bold letters across the top. Confused, John opened it, only to feel his stomach tighten. Welcome to the Ridgewood HOA. Please find enclosed your membership documents, your first year's invoice of $2,500, and a list of community guidelines. Failure to comply may result in penalties, fines, or legal action. John clenched his jaw. There had to be a mistake. They had explicitly chosen this house because it wasn't in an HOA. But the fine print at the bottom of the letter chilled him. Mandatory membership is required for all properties within Ridgewood's jurisdiction. No exceptions. Linda, reading over his shoulder, grabbed his hand. John, what is this? John didn't have an answer. But deep inside, something told him this was just the beginning. The next morning, before John could even process what he had read, there was a sharp, deliberate knock at the door. It wasn't the friendly tap of a neighbor stopping by to welcome them. No, this was different, forceful, impatient. When John opened the door, he was met with 3 individuals dressed in polished business attire, clipboards in hand, standing as if they owned the place. Mr. Callahan? The tallest of the 3, a man with slicked-back hair and an unnerving smirk, barely waited for John to confirm before stepping forward. I'm Richard Dawson, Ridgewood HOA President. These are my colleagues, Ms. Spencer and Mr. Collins. We're here to discuss your overdue HOA dues. John crossed his arms. I don't owe you anything. This property isn't in an HOA. Dawson chuckled, the kind of laugh a man gives when he thinks he knows something you don't. I see. That's a common misunderstanding among new homeowners. But if you'll take a look at our records, Ridgewood expanded its jurisdiction 5 years ago. Any property within these boundaries is automatically enrolled. I have your contract right here. He flipped through his clipboard dramatically before holding up a document. John didn't even look at it. He had dealt with enough bureaucracy in the military to know a power play when he saw one. I never signed that, John said, voice firm. You don't have to, Dawson replied smoothly. When Ridgewood HOA expanded, it was written into the local property agreements. It's all legal. All we need is your signature to finalize things, and we can set you up with a payment plan to cover your dues. We wouldn't want to start off on the wrong foot, would we? John felt rage bubbling in his chest. This wasn't a welcome visit, it was a shakedown. I don't want to be in your HOA, he said plainly. Dawson sighed dramatically, as if John was being unreasonable. Mr. Callahan, we strongly encourage all homeowners to comply. Otherwise, well, fines can accumulate quickly. Legal actions can get complicated. I'd hate to see you lose your lovely new home. That was the moment John knew. These people weren't just annoying bureaucrats. They were predators. For the next week, the notices kept coming. The letters got harsher, the fines larger, and the language more threatening. Failure to comply will result in legal proceedings. Non-payment may lead to a lien against your property. John tossed every single one into the trash. Then, one afternoon, Linda screamed from the front porch. John ran outside, his heart pounding, to find his wife standing next to a group of strangers in their yard. 3 men, all wearing Ridgewood HOA badges, were pulling up their freshly planted flower beds. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" John shouted. A squat, balding man turned to him, unimpressed. "These flowers aren't HOA approved." John saw red. He had heard of HOAs regulating house colors, mailbox styles, even grass height, but this was outright vandalism. "I don't give a damn what's approved. You have no right to touch my property. You agreed to our landscaping guidelines when you purchased this house," the man said dismissively. John stepped forward, ready to make them leave the hard way, but Linda grabbed his arm, fear in her eyes. "John, don't." That was when he realized this wasn't just about power. It was about control. After the flowerbed incident, the harassment escalated. First, it was small annoyances. His trash cans went missing, street parking violations appeared in his mailbox, and city inspectors suddenly showed up looking for code violations that didn't exist. Then it got worse. One evening, John found his front gate wide open. He was certain he had locked it. Then, the next morning, he noticed deep tire tracks near his barn, where someone had clearly driven onto his property during the night. Linda started to fear for her safety. "What if they break in?" she whispered one night. John held her close, jaw clenched. "I won't let that happen." But deep down, he wasn't so sure. Then the unthinkable happened. A thick, certified letter arrived. John opened it with shaking hands. Final notice. Property foreclosure proceedings initiated. The HOA was trying to take his home. John slammed the letter onto the table. "Over my dead body." That's when he realized this wasn't about money. It was about forcing him to submit. But John wasn't the kind of man to back down. It was time to fight back.